Do you know how powerful your words are? If you really knew, you might use them a little bit differently. All on today's show. Stick around.
Your mind is a beautiful thing, but if left unattended, it can get ugly real quick. If you're not constantly curating the content your mind consumes on a daily basis, then your surroundings will dictate your daily thoughts, habits, behaviors, and actions. This show has only one goal: to leave your mind more beautiful than it was when you arrived. Welcome to the Beautiful Mind Show.
That's right. Your mind is absolutely beautiful. And one of the things that impacts your mind more than anything else is the words that you use. If we haven't hung out before, my name is Jason, and it is amazing to meet you. I hope that as you listen to the show, you get a ton of value, but more than anything, that you have some impact over your reality, the world you live in, and you leave happier than you did when you started today. My guest this morning is actually a good friend of mine who we've been friends for a long time. I think it's been close to 15 years. We met at an event together, and I just realized she was one of those people that I was like, man, I'm so glad there's other people who are fighting the good fight and doing incredible things and helping working on themselves. So please welcome to the show, Nicole Jansen. What's going on, Nicole? Glad to have you.
Hey, Jason. Glad to be here.
Dude, so good to have you on. And I know we've known each other. I think it's been 15 years. I think that we're in that homie
feels
status
like
of 15 years,
feels
right?
like that long.
It feels like
I think
100
so.
million years.
I think, yeah, we were getting close. Actually, you know what?
Okay,
we are getting close. I think it was like 2007. So,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. It's getting close. It's getting
Pretty
close.
accurate.
So we met at an event, and we were playing some games and doing some business together and doing all kinds of stuff. And I love that I'd finally connected with somebody who like really pushed and drove as hard as I like to drive. And you kind of like broke me out into like reaching out and meeting new people that are outside of my normal circle. And now I love the communities that I get to be in, that you and I have been in, and other communities that have existed. And today we want to talk about the power of words, Nicole, like what words can do in our life. And I think, I was reading a book just last night with my son. It's called it's the Spot series. I don't know if you've seen this, but there's like this book on spots, and it's the love spot and the confidence spot and all these things. And it was actually in this little kid's book, it was talking about using daily affirmations. It said, write this affirmation out and stick it on your wall. And it just reminded me that the power of words can be so powerful, even for children and what they do. So talk to me a little bit about this. Why are the power of words a big deal, and how do you use them in your life?
Oh, yeah. When you think about our thoughts and our feelings and all of that is super, super important. I was listening to you and Seal, another person that we've known for so long, right? Yeah. Talking about our emotions and our thoughts and so forth, and how we get triggered. When you think about all that translates into our words, right? And so our words have so much creative power. I think of what the Bible says, God created the earth. What did he do? He spoke it into existence, totally. and there's another scripture that says life and death is in the power of our tongue. And so when we say something, it has energy. Everything has energy. Right? You have a ton of energy. And so a little extra portion of energy.
I've been told that before.
Just probably once or twice. But, so everything has this energy, and it's really, when you think about what is the energy, what are you wanting to put out there into the universe, that's going to come back. And so you think of every thought that we think, every feeling that we have, every idea that we've ever had gets translated first into our words. Our words, then it goes on a piece of paper, then it goes into a diagram or a design, and it becomes into something, real. And so the problem right now, what I've noticed challenges is that so many people are using their words against themselves. So they're like, man, I want to manifest this thing. I want to do this. I want to do that. But their words are actually betraying them from what it is that they actually want.
Well, and you mentioned that. By the way, if you guys have seen people use words against themselves, do me a favor and comment words in the comment section. Nicole, we were kind of talking about this too, is like right now, and not to get too deep down this topic, but like right now in the world that we live in, words are causing wars. I mean, literally, right? Like wars between friends, wars between business partners, wars between other people. And it's like, they're not coming from this space of grace. It's literally like this side or that side. And I was talking about it, is like, realize when you're becoming divided, well, your words are what are dividing you, because somebody says this word or that word. I'm not even going to say any of the words that are in there. You guys all know what they are. I don't even have to bring them up. But just the words in which are being discussed right now are getting shoved, and people are getting put on one side or the other. But what about in your own mind? You can kind of like be in that divisive side, like where it's like, I'm either overweight or I'm healthy, or I'm either wealthy or I'm poor, right? Or rich or I'm poor, right? Like all of those things, those words can really define who we are and what it does. And I think you hit a really good thing. It's like, I think it's easy sometimes to see when you say words to other people. Like I talk with my boys a lot, and it's like, oh, I don't want you to use the word hate. Here's why we don't want to use the word hate. This is what it really means, right? Is that word means this. And it's very important to do that. But sometimes we don't reflect on what words we say to ourselves. So do you have ways that you've seen or help people to like pay attention to the words they've used on themselves, maybe not for good things?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is you got to be aware. You got to be aware of what you're saying. And of course, the impact that you were just talking about with your kids is to understand what these words mean. So you can say to someone, don't say that. But if you don't explain why that is the case, then they're going to be like, I'm not going to do it because you told me not to do it. Like, that's not enough of a reason. But when you help people understand and realize that when you say maybe, well, how does that feel to you? Or try. I had a client once, he said he was, English was his second language. And so he would say possibly. I'd say, well, but this and that. And he goes, possibly. I'm like, possibly what? Yes or no? Like, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. Just say which it is. And there's so much power in that. So the first thing is awareness. Yeah. Getting people just like with when somebody wants to lose weight, right? And they go to the nutritionist or the Weight Watchers or whatever. What do they do? The first thing they tell them to do is don't change anything. Just write down everything that you eat. And that in itself, we know that when you report, what you measure improves. What you measure improve, and report on, right? Impacts in all those whatever that. I just totally blew that quote. But anyway, whatever.
That's all right.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me know if the quote.
Yeah, no, it's whatever you measure. What you measure improves. What you measure and report on improves in all directions. There you go.
Right.
Boom.
There you go.
All right.
See, I knew it was there.
Somewhere. It was somewhere there. But the thing is that when you write down and you say, okay, like these are the words that I'm saying, and how is that impacting me? Now, it's not to anchor them. Okay. So I'm not saying you write those words down and you focus on those words, but sometimes we have to become aware. It's like, wow, this is what I'm eating. And what I'm eating is actually coming out the other side. And then you start looking at it and saying, okay, so I'm saying these words like, I'm so worried. I'm afraid of, I don't want to. Right? I can't. I don't know how. One of my favorite things when people say, I don't know, the classic coaching question is, well, if you did know, what would it be? Well, it's really, when you think of I don't know actually shuts your brain down. Your brain is a subconscious mind is a problem solver. And so it goes to work to solve, you ask it a question, it's going to look for the answer. If you make a statement, it's going to look for validation. Right. So when you say, I can't do this, or I don't know, it goes, okay, got it. And it's going to give you all the reasons why you don't know. And so that's why we've got to start, looking at our words, start transforming and saying, well, if I did know, what would it be? What can I do? And what do I desire?
Or just saying like, I can't afford it. Like, I think that's a big one, right? When people say I can't afford it, or I'm no good at that. I know, another mutual friend of ours, Blair Singer, who's how we got introduced, right? Actually chatting with him later today. So I'll have to tell him we connected. That's 3 people in one day, Nicole. So what I was going to say is Blair was on me because like I grew up as a kid not being very good at like writing English, right? Like I always tell people, I always get paid to speak. I've never been in my life been paid to spell, right? So like spelling, writing is not my jam. And Blair's written tons of books. I was talking about it. I'm like, dude, I just suck at writing. I suck at writing. And he's like, well, you will as long as you keep saying it. Right? Is like, as long as you're going to live with that as your story, as your own idea of what it is for you, then you get to live with that. And I think part of that is what are the stories? Like if you tell yourself a story about yourself that's not true, would you do me a favor in the comment section, just say story if you put that in there? Because I think so many people are like, oh, I'm just not an outgoing person, or I'm not the entrepreneurial type, or I'm not, and it's like whatever the I'm not or whatever, you realize that you're kind of creating this like premature tombstone in your reality. Is like, here lies a person that could never get in shape because they were big boned, or they're extra tall, or nobody in my, you know what I mean? It's like all those things. And I think if you, to your point, Nicole, evaluate those words every day, it's very powerful. And I learned from somebody one time, they said, watch out for the word try. But the other words that stood out that were really helpful that I've changed with lots of people is need to, have to, or should do, right? People are like, I should do this, I need to do that, I have to get that done, or I'm going to try to get that accomplished. Like those are weak words. Those are really weak words. So instead you say, I will, I deserve to, I get to, or I want to, right? All those, get to, deserve to, because like, and it's like, it's crazy to be like, I deserve to do my laundry. But like, if I want clean clothes, I do deserve to do my laundry because it's something I get to do. I get to look forward to doing it. Or I get to find somebody else to do the laundry for me, right? I'm going to hire a company to get it done for me if I do it. It's very different. Like, I need to get somebody else to get that done for me. It's just such a thing. It's just the weight feels different. The weight of the word itself has a different energy, to your point, Nicole.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is when people actually stop and get aware of and become aware of what you're saying, and you get the energy there's like a vibrational level. It's like a very low vibration. It's a heaviness when you say things like, I'm not this, or I can't do this, or I'll try. And one of my favorites, when you talk about have to, oh my gosh, I have so many clients that will say that I have to do this, I got to do this, and okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to do this, and all this. I'm like, whoa, wait a second, you don't have to do anything. And actually, one time I remember I had this general contractor, and he was a hard worker and just really putting it out there. And of course, that was part of his belief. You know, they had to work hard to make money. And he said to me, I have to be successful. And I said, no, you don't. And he's like, no, you don't understand. I actually have to be successful. I said, no, you don't. I said, every day you can go downtown Toronto and there are, people sitting on the side of the road, homeless people, or people, begging for money, whatever. You prove that you don't have to be successful. You choose to, you get to. And this whole thing about getting to, so powerful, because one is, think about it. If you think about have to, it's an obligation. And I don't know about you, but I don't like it when people tell me, or some external force tells me I have to do something. Right. I just perceive it differently, even if I'm the one who did it. I mean, I remember one time with my schedule, I was like, I've got all these meetings, and I was kind of regretting my day. And I'm like, Nicole, you booked it. Like, you created this. Right. So if you don't like it,
allowed that to happen, you can change it.
And so, but my words, I made it an obligation that I had to do these meetings. When I turned it around and said, I get to do these meetings, I choose to do these meetings, then what happened is it turned an obligation into an opportunity, which has a very, very different energy.
Totally. So guys, we got to take a quick break. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk more about what words you can speak into your life and into the lives of other people that will allow you to create better results for you and those around you. All when we come back after this break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Would you like to have an even more beautiful mind? Well, we'd like you to have one, and we actually created a 7-day Beautiful Minds Challenge, which is a little bit of a choose your own adventure challenge for just 7 days. And I really think you can do anything for 7 days. It's definitely not easy, but it will be simple for you to get access to it. All you have to do is comment anywhere on this video or send me a message on social media that says 7-day, and I'll send you immediate access to not only our Beautiful Minds Facebook group, but also our Beautiful Minds Challenge, where you can go through 3 different areas: your mental health, your emotional health, and your physical health, and get challenges in each of those areas that'll help you get a handle on each of those areas inside your life to give you more control over what you want to do every single day. So do me a favor, comment 7-day or send me a message on any social media, and I'll make sure I give you access to our exclusive community group as well as access to the challenge. Thanks so much, and now back to the show.
Welcome back. I'm chatting with my old friend, Nicole Jansen. It's good to have you on today. We're chatting about the power of words and how you can speak positive words into your life and your reality in order to create the life that you want to have. So many people get stuck, Nicole, in this spot where they say have to, need to, deserve to. And man, even when you said that, you know what's funny? It's like, this is the like review of my own life, right? Is I was like, man, I am feeling obligated to do things. And then I checked myself for a second. I'm like, wait, I have been saying, oh, I have to get this call done today. And even me, I teach this damn stuff all the time, and I've still let it sneak into an area of my life. There's some areas I don't use it, but it'll sneak in because, at least in my opinion, is because everyone else around you uses it without even being conscious of it. And so you really have you really have to. Do you see what I was going to do there? You really get to make sure that you create a practice around it so it doesn't control you like it controls everyone else.
Yeah. And that's where association comes in. That's where even this podcast, when you talk about creating a beautiful mind and putting what you put in, you get out, it's so important. You take a shower every day, you got to rinse yourself off, you got to clean yourself. You get to take, a shower. You don't have to take a shower, but you get to.
I choose to take showers.
Yes. And so when you think about that, right, you do that for your body. What about your mind? What about your spirit? And all of the gunk. I mean, it was a few months ago. I went up to LA. I hadn't been there for a while. I used to live there, as you know, for about 5 years. And but I went up there to visit someone, and we won't get into all the detail, but there was a lot of animosity between two camps. Let's just put it that way, right? And I'm walking down the street, and I'm like, I'm just minding my own business, going for lunch with a friend. And I've just got all sorts of crazy around me. And when I left there, I thought, man, I feel like I need a shower. And it was just because it was
dirty.
It
dirty.
Feels icky,
physically.
And so you get to be really intentional about, who you hang around with, what you listen to. That's why the news, the media, all that stuff, social media. I'm a big believer. People say to me, what do I need to do more of, right? As a coach, they say, what do I need to do more of? Well, first of all, the first question might be, what do you need to do less of so that you actually have space so that you can actually do the right things and get the right results with it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Is like, you got to remove the stuff that's currently taking up your space, surround yourself with the right people, and really curate kind of who's in your environment. But I love this idea of like taking this like mental shower, you know what I mean? And like, hopefully that's a little bit about what this feels like for you, is like just getting some good words breathed into your reality and just take a few minutes of focus. For me, and I don't know about you, Nicole, but like I was not really a meditator for a really long time. Like I would just sit there and it just would really bother me. And it's because a lot of the thoughts I was left alone with were not super awesome. They were very obligatory and doing all these things, until I learned this really simple technique about like putting stuff in a box. It was like you open it, you create this box in your mind, and you open it up and you put all your thoughts in. It was like you put all your worries and cares and considerations in this box, and then you close the box and you move the box aside. And what was really interesting about that technique is then I would go through the rest of my meditation, and if something crept in my mind, I would open up the box, put that thought in there, close the box, move it away again. And I could open that box up as many times as I needed to, and any obligatory thing that I could think of would go in there. Like, I'm worried about that for today. I got the podcast with Nicole. Do I have my computer? Is it ready to go? Like all that, put it in the box, put it aside. And as soon as I could separate myself from the obligation and task list thoughts, it allowed me to be present in that moment and to actually enjoy and use that meditation as a way for me to curate and create and just move in a good direction. And it totally changed how I operated, because so many people do feel like they have a million things. Like, if you have a million things going on, do me a favor and say million things in the chat. My guess is you got not only your million things, but if you have a staff of people, you got their million things that you're dealing with. You got a spouse got a million things. You got kids with a million things. And like, you just don't even have a minute to be yourself in there. You can't even find you because you're buried underneath the obligations.
Yeah. And then how can your genius ever come out in that? It just can't, right? And literally, I rarely use that word, but it's not like there's no space in there. So you got to create capacity and so forth. And so you were talking about words and what kind of words are power words, and I think about like words like I am rather than I'm not. Ask yourself, who am I? I think this also comes down to identity, is who do we believe that we are, right? It's the beliefs that we have about ourselves, others, and the world around us that determine the way that we see, everything and how we operate. And so when you think of like, I can, I get to, I choose to, and you feel the vibration of that. It's a totally different vibration. And yeah, there's going to be some things that you don't know how to do yet, right? That's the key. You say, well, how can I? What do I know? You know, what can I do in this moment? I can't afford this. Well, is it that you can't afford it, or is it you have the money, but you're actually choosing to spend it elsewhere? Right. And so it's just looking at things differently. You look at words like imagine and discover, and you can Google this. Like, there are literally power words that they use in marketing and sales. And I know that's, you know, you have an expertise there. And so there's certain words like discover and imagine and learn that are really strong words. And yeah, there's also those words that, you know, marketing, of course, they'll use fear-based words as well. But I see there's a change that's happening in marketing as well, because people are getting tired of that,
of the fear-based words,
the fear-based, the FOMO and so forth. And like, I love what Tony Robbins says, you know, you've got pain and pleasure, right? You can move away from pain. You can inspire people, motivate people to move away from pain, lose a little bit of weight, because otherwise they're going to die. But there's a point where it becomes less uncomfortable, and then they stop. But so there's like a limit to that. But when you have the pleasure, there's an unlimited amount of pleasure. So why wouldn't we swing over to this side and start looking at what can we create? What do we desire? Even the word want and need implies that I have not enough, or I'm lacking, right? So I actually looked up the word once. Want, when you think of want not, I have, you know, I don't have enough, and so I want more, right? When you think about that word, it actually implies, like I say, you have lack. But the word desire actually means to be excited for. Very different.
It's good.
So I've started to, even in my own language, where I would use the word I want to do this or I need to do that, I would start to say I desire because I'm excited for doing this. Very different.
Yeah, I think, I mean, again, we talk about that like energy vibration just in general, not to go full off to like, you know, let's hippie up and grab a tree, but like, you know, that just the word desire, when you say like, I desire, and you might think of like, I desire a cheesecake, or I desire to be with my spouse, or I desire, it's like all of a sudden you like aspire, desire, and move yourself forward to something that you really would like to get to. And I think that idea is that like, what's the feeling of that word? If you say, I have to get this done, and that's this like gross shower, what's the desire word? What does that feel like? Does it feel light? Does it feel airy? Like, how does the word feel? And if you were like, man, I didn't ever think words have feelings or words have ideas. They do. And if you imagine you pile on more of those, it gets darker and rainier. And like that's when you develop that hunch on your back. You guys know what I'm talking about. The I have to hunch, you know, like you develop all that stuff instead of being excited and moving forward. Like I saw a meme the other day. It was like a Steve Carell meme, and it said getting up at 6 a.m. to go to work. And it was like, ugh. And it was getting up at 6 a.m. to go to Disneyland. He's like, yeah, right. It's like this idea of what you're looking forward to and what you're fascinated by and what you desire to do. You will move mountains to create, but what you feel obliged to do will create, you know, turmoil, resistance, procrastination. And a large part of that just happens in your language. Nicole, you have a podcast that people can check out. I know you've done like 8 million episodes of your podcast, and I've been able to check some of them out. Can you tell me about your podcast, your show? Where can people go get information about that?
Sure. It's called Leaders of Transformation, and you've been on the show twice. And we've done... Hey, you're good. What can we say? So you've been on, Seal's been on, Blair's been on, and Mac Attram's been on. A lot of awesome people that, of course, we've known for many, many years. I think this week it's been 391 episodes. Amazing difference makers, world changers, and all of what we're talking about are things that they employ. Right? That is what has allowed them to be a leader that creates transformation in their space, wherever it is. And so business, leadership, mindset, relationships, whatever, it's just really about people that are up to big things and making a positive impact in the world. So you can go to leadersoftransformation.com. That's the website.
Yeah, please. And hopefully somebody can type that in for me, leadersoftransformation.com, so you can go get access to Nicole's other podcast. She, I usually have this uncanny ability to grab some really awesome people. And they're oftentimes people I haven't encountered. And I listen to pieces of those episodes and I'm like, wow, they've got some really good stuff to say. And I know it's not just only authors and speakers you bring on there, but just people who have information to share with the world that's just uncommon, they're not hearing. And I think today in the world and the environment that we're in, speaking good words into the reality that needs to exist around us is what we need more than anything. If you find yourself stuck on one side or the other of an argument, ask yourself, what are the words that I'm using that are potentially creating this fight, this obligation, this hang up, whatever it is for you, and see if you can change your reality. Nicole, it's been fun having you on. I really, really am grateful to have you here. Every time we've been able to hang out, it's been a good time. There it is, leadersoftransformation.com/podcast. Hey, good job, Jason. Thanks for posting that. Somebody from my team posted that, so thank you so much for getting that up there. But yeah, leadersoftransformation.com/podcast. Go get access to Nicole and other great leadership resources and speak good words into the world. Nicole, thanks for being on today. I appreciate you.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jason. It's been a blast.
Right on. Have a great day. See you guys in another episode.
Thanks for joining us on today's show. If you want to get access to our 7-day Beautiful Minds Challenge, you can either comment below and just say 7-day, and I'll shoot you the information so you can get immediate access to that, or find me on any social media and just send me the message 7-day, and I'll make sure I get that out to you right away. And if you really enjoyed today's show, it would do me a huge favor if you went online, whether it was Spotify, Pandora, or iTunes, or any sort of podcast platform that you can find us on, and search for The Beautiful Minds Show, subscribe to our channel, and then make sure you give us a rating. Every time you give us a rating, it helps us get more eyeballs on our show and help more people have a more beautiful mind. Thanks again for joining us.